Hey there, and welcome to the She Calls Her Shots podcast. Every week, we chat through different business building topics that will help you gain clarity around your goals, find inspiration in your journey, and also help you create a life and a business that you love. My name is Krista, and I'm a wedding and brand photographer and your go-to no-fluff business coach. In these episodes, we talk through both the tactical strategies, habits, and the mindset work that will help you take those really big leaps. And we always focus on the real talk and the behind the scenes of what it takes to create a sustainable and a thriving business. Because let's be honest, the work isn't always glamorous, but it's always worth it. So girlfriend, let's make some moves and start calling our own shots. Hello, friend, and welcome back to the podcast. I am really excited as I'm sitting here to record this episode for a few reasons. First and foremost, I know that you can't see it, but I created a new little setup for myself in my office for recording, and I have my own little dedicated desk, and it's clean. I have a candle lit. I have my cup of tea, and I'm staring directly at my two dogs just laying on the couch in my office, and it just feels so cozy and warm and exciting. And that's the first reason that I'm excited. And the second reason that I'm so excited is because today marks 100 episodes for the podcast. And even just saying that out loud absolutely blows my mind. I can distinctly remember September of 2020 when I launched my first podcast episode, and I was so nervous. I had no idea what I was doing. And I had no idea where it was going to take me. And for a long time, if you've listened to the podcast for a while, you've probably heard me talk about how I struggled for a very long time in using my voice, right? Like in general, speaking my opinion, like sharing my thoughts, those kinds of things were really hard for me. And the fact that we are now at 100 episodes, I first and foremost I hope that you know how incredibly grateful I am for you listening in right now. If it weren't for you listening, I probably wouldn't be here today. We just recently passed 7,500 downloads for the podcast, which is also, as I say that out loud, it just is so incredible. And I want to thank you. I'm so incredibly thankful that I get to be a part of this journey and that you choose to let me be a part of your journey and to help grow alongside of you. So first and foremost, just thank you so much for all of the support and for all of the love. On that note, if you love the episode, if you love the podcast, if this is something that you tune into regularly, I would be absolutely honored if you shared the podcast with a friend today. In celebration of 100 episodes, I would love for you to it doesn't have to be this episode. It can be a previous episode. I would love for you to just share it with a friend who might need this, who might need the reminder of, hey, you know what? Like growing a business is hard and you're doing amazing. And here's some reminders and some tips on how you can build a business that feels really good for you. And yeah, just like the support that we need, right? As business owners, so often we lack that support of being like, hey, you know what? Like you're trying your best, you're doing amazing, and I'm here for you. So I would just be so honored if you took a moment to share the podcast with someone today who you think might benefit from listening in. And regardless, even if you don't share it, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time with me today. In today's episode, we're going to dive into money mindset and a little pep talk into how we can start to reframe our money beliefs. And this idea kind of came to me because this tends to be something that I speak about a lot with my clients. Oftentimes, as we are, planning into the new year or planning into the new month ahead, even if it's not a new year, I just happen to be releasing this in January of 2023. But even if you're just planning for the next month, a lot of times, some of the questions that my clients have are things like, how can I earn more money? How can I be better about managing my finances? How can I feel more comfortable with my money? And truthfully, money is one of the most important tools that we have inside of our business, right? It's the way that we invest in our business. It's the tool that we can use to pour back into our own business and into our own life. And so it's so important that we spend some time thinking about how can we improve our relationship with money, right? Because a lot of us have a lot of stories, a lot of thoughts, a lot of limiting money beliefs. We have a lot of weight that we tend to carry when we think about money. And so I want to just have a quick pep talk today and talk through a few things for you to think about that'll hopefully help to shift your perspective around money, kind of help to further develop that positive money mindset, and also just some honest questions for you to take a look at where you are right now. Because if we don't know and understand where we're starting from, right? Like where we're at right now with our money, it'll be really hard for us to make improvements or to celebrate when we have, made an impact or done something better. So we're going to chat about that a little bit today. But first, before we dive into that, I have another really exciting announcement. I feel like the fact that all of this is happening at the same time, like 100 episodes and then New Year's and new offers, is just really kind of a magical feeling. But I am so excited to share that as of yesterday, the new website, the new brand, the new offers, everything is now live for you to experience. I know I mentioned a few weeks ago that I've kind of been leading up to this new offer and this new website and this rebrand, but everything is officially live today. So you can check it out at heykristamarie.com. But the thing that I am most excited to share with you is not only will I be continuing my one-on-one coaching with clients, because that is something that is so important to me. And honestly, I am so grateful and honored that I get to work with the incredible clients that I get to work with one-on-one. But I have had it on my heart to create a group coaching program, because when I was looking for coaching, when I was first starting along on my journey, when I wasn't quite ready to yet invest in a one-on-one coach, I was looking for ongoing support. I was looking for a way to kind of ease into coaching and like understanding that, I was kind of at the beginning stages of my business where I couldn't invest in a 6-week, group coaching program, because even if I had 6 weeks of ideas or a launch or something that I wanted to do, I knew that I wanted longer term support. And so I felt a little let down when I was looking into the coaching world, when I was exploring looking for a coach. I just felt like there wasn't a program that fit what I needed. And so this has been on my heart for quite some time, and we are officially live launching it, and it is open for enrollment, and it's called Amplify, and it is a one-of-a-kind group coaching experience. We have a few pillars of the program, right, around building sustainable business, helping you feel seen and visible in your business in ways that you can do it that feel really aligned for you, and ultimately helping you create a business that feels fulfilling and that feels really good for you. And it's a really intimate group. And this is what I'm really excited about, right? I'll be honest with you, I'm just launching this publicly, right? So this isn't going to be some massive group where you're joining and there's all these people and you're, fighting for attention, of trying to be seen. Like, that's not the goal of this group. That's definitely not where we're at right now. That's not where I want to go in the future. And so because it's such an intimate group, you do get more one-on-one time with me, right? Like on our group coaching calls, there might be a handful of people that show up, right? And so that means that I really get to know the students and the clients that I have inside of the community. And inside, this is the thing that I'm most excited about. Inside the community, you have lifetime access to the community, right? Like this means you'll have lifetime access to coaching. And here's the thing that's different from a lot of coaching programs. This isn't one of those investments where you have to pay every single month, right, for the entirety that you're in the program. Because what I found is that tends to be the common model, right, is you have to invest hundreds of dollars every single month and like for as long as you want to be in the program. The thing I'm so excited about, the thing that was so impressed on my heart, the thing that I felt the most called to do, there is a one-time investment for this group coaching program. And once you're in, you're in. And it felt so good for me. It still feels so good for me to know that I can invest in my clients. I can invest in my students. And it doesn't require from them, right, like this big investment every single month. Because here's the honest truth. As a business owner, you are invested in your business for the long run, right? There will be some months where it might be a little bit of a lull, right? I experienced this recently in my own business where I paid a lot of money to work with a coach one-on-one, and she's absolutely phenomenal. I love my coach. This has nothing to do with her or her offerings. But here's the thing. I had all of these big plans and things that I wanted to work on with her, and then life happened. Like this kind of big wall all of a sudden in my own life came up and kind of forced me to rearrange and shift my priorities and shift the things that I was working on, which meant there was about 2 months inside of our one-on-one coaching where I feel like I really wasn't making progress. And not that I wasn't making progress, we just were making different progress, right? Like we were doing things that weren't on the original plan. But I understand that you're invested in your business for the long run, and there's going to be things that happen. And so I am so excited that inside of this community, there is space for all of that. There's space for the months where you're doing really big things and taking big, bold action. There's space for the months where things come up and priorities change, and you might have to take a step back. There's space for you to grow in your mindset of, you know what, like I need a different kind of support this month than I normally need. Like there is space for all of that inside of the community. And so all of that to say, I'm just so incredibly excited for the launch of this program. I already have some really amazing clients who are inside, and I would absolutely love for you to join us. You can learn more at heykristinmarie.com/amplify, and all of the information will be there on how you can join. So let's go ahead, switching gears, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic about mindset. So first and foremost, the thing that I want to kind of invite you to think about during this episode is asking yourself, how have you felt about your money, right? Like, where do you feel like you're starting from right now? Because that's going to be really crucial in the steps that you take and where you go from here. And, it might be really crucial for you to first and foremost just focus on your mindset. You might be feeling so bogged down with these limiting money beliefs, right? Like you might feel like money is a struggle. It's never there when you need it. Like it's hard to make it. It's hard to get new clients, right? Like you might be feeling like you've been in this downward spiral with money. And if that's the case, the most important thing that you might be able to do right now is just work on your mindset, right? Like maybe it is reading money mindset books. Maybe it's listening to money mindset podcasts. Some of my favorite books that I've ever read around money are You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. My other most favorite author is Denise Duffield Thomas. I'm actually looking up at my bookshelf right now and I can see all of her books lined up on the shelf. And she has a few solely based around money mindset. She also has one that's like money mindset / chillpreneur, like chill and prosper, how to build a business without kind of the hustle. So I highly recommend those books if that's where you feel like you need to start off. But really asking yourself, what do I feel like? How are my money thoughts holding me back? Right? Like, what are the thoughts that I'm having right now that I feel like are keeping me stuck in this cycle where I feel like I'm not able to move forward? Whether it's like, I feel like I haven't been able to change my thoughts about money. I feel like I haven't been able to make real change in my business to make more money and book more clients, right? Like how have you felt like you've been holding yourself back? Because here's the thing, your beliefs about anything, right? But specifically in this episode, we'll talk about your beliefs about money. Your beliefs about money are going to impact the actions that you take, right? And the actions that you take are going to then in turn impact the results that you have in your business. And I know sometimes we can get caught up in like, oh, mindset. I know I need to work on it, but like we tend to devalue the importance that it has. But when we look at this framework, our beliefs, like they impact everything in our life, right? Like it all starts with our beliefs. Our beliefs turn into the actions that we take, and our actions turn into the results that we have. So getting really honest with yourself of like, what do I believe about money, right? When I think about making money, what are some of the feelings that come up for me? What are some of the thoughts that I have? How do I feel about the money inside of my business right now and inside of my life? Am I grateful for what I have? Do I feel like it's abundant? Do I feel like it's a lack and I feel like I can never actually get caught up to make enough? Like, where are we starting from? And then understanding that that belief is going to impact the results that we end up seeing in our business. Because if we think that money is a struggle, if we think that money is hard to come by, if we think that money is difficult, right? If we're constantly living and creating our offers from this space, chances are we are not creating offers that are going to be expansive in our business when we're coming from such a negative limiting thought base, right? Hey there, just interrupting briefly to mention that if you're really enjoying this episode, you'll likely also love being on my email list. Every week, I send out tips, resources, and inspiration to help you build a business that you love. And just like in the podcast, we focus on sustainable growth and how we can grow a business with ease and joy. We'll dive deeper into podcast episodes, and I often share relatable stories about the real life behind the scenes of being a business owner. It's so much fun, honestly, getting to connect with you during these podcast episodes. And so if you love getting to listen in, I would love to have you join me inside of my email community. Head on over to heykristamarie.com/email and enter in your information to join. So first and foremost, getting really clear on what are the thoughts that I have about money and how are those beliefs potentially impacting the actions that I take and then impacting my results that I'm seeing. And then secondly, I think it's really important to get clear. This can get a little uncomfortable for us as business owners because what I have found from my own experience and from working with clients, it's a lot easier to kind of bury our head in the sand and ignore our finances and our money, right? Like nobody that I've met has ever come to me and been like, I love going over my numbers every month, or I love looking at my, like accounting sheet or like tracker, right? Like nobody that I have met has ever come to me with excitement around looking at their numbers. But it's so important for us to really get clear on what are our money habits? What do those habits look like, right? And it could just be starting with how often am I even looking at my numbers? How often am I looking at my finances? There's a good chance that coming up pretty soon, we'll all be looking at our numbers because we have to, because it's going to be tax time. But like, is that the only time that you're really diving in to see how what did my expenses look like? How much money am I spending on recurring subscriptions or recurring software or, whatever systems or tools that I have in my business? Like, is this the only time that I'm really diving in to see where I stand and what I'm spending money on? Right? Or maybe you're taking the time to review it each month. And if so, that puts you steps ahead, I think, of a lot of other business owners. This took me a while to get into a habit where I felt comfortable doing it. But I'll tell you, the reason it took me a while and the reason the habit took so long to build and I had so much resistance around it, guess where it started? It started with my beliefs because I held this belief for so long that I wasn't capable of growing the business that was profitable and successful. I didn't believe that that was possible for me. And so because of that, I avoided my numbers, right? If that's where my belief started, then of course I'm going to not want to look at my numbers and my finances each month. Of course, I'm going to probably invest and put more money into expenses, trying to figure out the secret behind how to make more money, right? Like how many things did I invest money in my business to try and solve this never-ending question of how to make more money? But the irony is that for me to figure out how I could make more money, I just was spending money on all these things and also ignoring it at the same time, right? Like, which is not the place that we want to be. So figuring out, what do my money habits look like, right? What am I spending money on? Do I have tendencies of buying courses or buying, and it may not even, I know we're talking about money, it may not even be purchasing courses, but maybe you have a tendency of like, downloading all of the free tools and like free things that people are offering, right? Because we are searching for this answer of the thing that's going to help us be successful in our business, right? Like getting really clear on what do my habits look like? And then figuring out, okay, even if the first step is to just do that, right? Like get really honest with yourself, be bold, take a look at your numbers, take a look at what you're spending money on, and just get curious. Don't judge yourself. Don't shame yourself. Don't, like these are habits that you had built over time. It's likely, right? So like we can't expect it to change overnight. We also don't want to just judge ourselves for our habits because that's not going to help us move forward in a new habit, right? Like it's never worked to like shame yourself out of a habit. Like you have to start from a place of love and acceptance. And this is where I am. This is where I have been. And then now this is where I want to go. So just getting really clear, right? And maybe you do want to learn how to keep a budget. Maybe you want to start a savings plan, like figuring out what are your goals and what has kept you from these goals. What's kept you from looking at your numbers? What's kept you from not digging into, saving or doing the things that you want to do? And I actually have an episode, I'm going to link to it below. I have a few money episodes, which I will link to in the show notes. So if you really want to dive into more of this and learn from like experts, like people who are actually in the financial world that can help you with this, I will link to that in the show notes. But the thing that comes to mind is most recently, I had an episode with Linda McDonald, and she talks about 5 steps for short-term and long-term financial success. So if you are really looking for ways to make change, I would highly recommend listening into that episode. And again, I'll link it below. But really just getting clear about what have I been avoiding and how can I start to make a habit and build a habit around making it a part of my life, whether it's reviewing it once a week, once a month, right? Like once a month is going to be better than once a year. So again, giving yourself grace on letting that transition happen. And then along those same lines, one of the things that was when I was starting off on like my true money journey, right? Like I feel like, I know it's a never ending journey. I will always be on this money mindset journey. But in the very, very, very beginning, the thing that it looked like for me was reading money mindset books. Again, going back to our belief, right? I understood that, I didn't even understand how many limiting money beliefs I had until I started reading money mindset books. And it felt like my head just like exploded in this idea of recognizing, oh my gosh, I had all of these limiting beliefs without even realizing it. So that was my step 1 in my journey. Step 2 for me was just figuring out what have my business expenses, what have they looked like, right? And this was kind of that step that we just talked about. But this was truthfully one of the most transformational things that I did in my business because it required me to get really honest with what I was spending money on. And it required me to dig a little bit deep, right? Not only in like looking at my expenses, like there were a few recurring subscriptions that I forgot that I had that I was like, I don't even need or use this anymore. And so it was great to just have that clarity of here's X amount of dollars that I can cancel this subscription and not have to keep paying for it. And like, that's money that I'm already going to be getting back in my business. Like that in itself was like a really nice quick win to just like clean everything up on that end. But it was also really transformational because it required me to ask myself, right? Like, again, recognizing the bigger habits that had been forming, right? Like, wow, I didn't realize that I had spent X amount of dollars on, trainings and programs that either I A, didn't finish or, B, just like didn't feel like I got the results that I was hoping to get from them, right? It gave me clarity to recognize I don't want to keep moving forward like this. Like, I don't want to keep making these purchases haphazardly, believing that this is going to be the thing that changes my business. And so I told myself, moving forward, I'm not purchasing like courses the way that I used to. Like, I'll be honest with you, if you looked at my tab, I have a tab with all of the courses I've invested in. And I'm not saying I like asked for a refund, right? Like I still have all of those courses that I purchased. And if you looked at that bookmark folder on my computer, it's like you'd have to scroll because there's so many. Like there's a lot. But it required me then, okay, you know what? Moving forward, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I want to get really intentional about what are the courses that I want to invest in and what are the courses that I feel like I've given enough like research into and thought into that I really know that this is going to help me with where I'm at right now. And I actually have an episode, it came out quite a while ago, but it's The title of it is The Truth Behind Investing in Courses and Coaches. And I'll link it in the show notes as well. Because if you feel like you've struggled with that, if you feel like you've also kind of been on that course purchasing hamster wheel where they just like constantly, you're like, yes, I'm going to buy this. Yes, I'm going to invest in this. And we start to think that it's okay because it's an investment, right? Like I got caught in that trap of, oh, but I'm investing in my business. Yes. And there are probably better ways that I can use that money to invest in my business in other ways. And so if you feel like that's something that you have also struggled with, I'll link that in the show notes. I'd love for you to listen into that episode. But those are the things that I really wanted to dive into today. I wanted to keep it fairly high level, but again, these were the traits, habits, and things that I implemented that really made the biggest impact for me in my life. And so I hope that this is helpful for you today. Regardless of where you're from, I just hope first and foremost, you just give yourself grace and understand these money habits are things that you have built up over the course of your entire life. And so it's not helpful to come from a place of shame or guilt or I can't believe I do this or, oh, I can't believe I've spent all this money, right? Like, let's just start a clean slate today. Like it's the end of the month when I'm recording this, right? Like let's just start from here and let's just get really clear with our intentions on where we want to go. And let's just look forward at that, right? Let's find excitement and joy in that and get rid of all of the guilt and shame and fear and negative thoughts that might have come with money that you've had previously. So that's everything that I wanted to share for today. Again, thank you so much for listening in. I know that I left you with a few other episodes to listen to. So if you feel like this was helpful and you want to dive in more, I would highly recommend checking out those other episodes. But in the meantime, just thank you so much for being here, and I will see you over in the next episode. One last thing before you go. I'd absolutely love it if you left a review on Apple Podcasts. Or if you've already left a review, I'd love for you to share this episode with your business bestie. I love getting to shout out my listeners on the show, and the more listeners that we have, the more that I can help others create a thriving and sustainable business too. Thank you so much again for being a part of this community, and I can't wait to hear your takeaways from today's episode.